What's up, fight fans from around the world? Welcome to the WAAR Room. I am your fight goddess, Chris Baldwin, here with my co-host and my boxing family, award-winning sports journalist, Eddie Goldman, and my girl, women's boxing historian, Malissa Smith. Now, in just a moment, we're going to chop it up with our guest today, Mr. Martin Stark. He is the founder and CEO of the World Gay Boxing Championships. But first, you guys know what I need you to do, and that is hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you guys can turn those notifications on to get a message whenever we drop a new video. All right, this is, you need to do this because you need to subscribe to Sports Justice, this Sports Justice channel, because it's our mission to provide our viewers with unfiltered boxing news, insightful commentary, and analysis into the world of corruption and sports governance in general. So you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you. Now, what's up, fam? I'm glad to see everybody here today. Martin Stark, we are just thrilled to have you in our space today to talk about what you're doing and what the gay boxing games are all about. So welcome to the show. Let's take it away, brother.
Welcome. It's remarkable because a week ago, just on LinkedIn, I just happened to see this in my feed. So I just commented, watch the podcast, and I've had a previous conversation with Eddie, and a week later I'm chatting with you amazing peeps. But first of all, I just want to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land where I currently am, the Gamma people, paying my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. And I'd like to extend that respect to all Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander, and First Nations people.
Awesome. Awesome. That is awesome. I love that we do this in our organization. I run the L Project with our board, and you saw Marna, she's on our board, and we always try to start our events, honoring the first people. So that's amazing. I love that intro. Now, tell us a little bit more about the Gay Boxing Championships and how did this start? How you're in Sydney, Australia, correct?
Yeah.
And
so
go ahead.
So the organization is World Gay Boxing Championships, and it all started out from an idea I had of getting towards 3 years ago. So my personal journey with boxing started at the beginning of 2018. I have the rare autoimmune condition, Addison's disease, and I almost died at the end of 2017. And I had some PTSD, which reminded me of times in 2006 where I was in 2 induced comas. So this is my normal speaking voice when I speak through my throat, because I remember just prior to my 2nd induced coma, I had a tracheotomy, and I remember the feeling and the pressure of my neck, being able to breathe, having a tracheotomy performed and then placed on a ventilator and a 2nd induced coma an induced coma for the 2nd time. And the dreams I experienced in my comas were living nightmares, and that caused a lot of PTSD. So at the end of 2017, where I'm almost dying again, my brain connected the previous memories of that with my induced coma nightmares. So to get over that, I had a few self-defense classes, and the 2nd class just happened to be boxing. Now, I always considered boxing was not for me. At one stage, I probably considered it barbaric. If you can imagine a vegan becoming, a butcher, that's pretty much my transformation. And I was just cataloging my story on Instagram using the hashtag gay boxing. And there were fewer than 1,000 posts that hashtag, yet boxing hashtag had tens of millions of posts. And through that, I wanted to go to the gay games and compete in boxing. I was cheekily calling myself the future world gay boxing champion. Then I discovered that boxing was not offered at the current games. So I had a crazy idea. Why don't I organize the world's first LGBTQ+ boxing competition? So it's called World Gay Boxing Championships to really try and keep it simple. But I'm really about championing equality for everybody and boxing for the entire LGBTQIA+ community. And within our logo, we have the 6 rainbow colors, but we also have black and brown represented. We also have the 2 trans colors. So I've tried to make the logo as inclusive as possible, and a good friend of mine designed the logo for us. So here's our logo. Here's all of the colors: World Gay Boxing Championships, 2 gloves, and we also have all of the colors represented in our logo.
Nice, very nice. I like that. Yeah, I've hung our trans, bi, inclusive, and it really does make a difference that everyone is included. Even though I think the original idea behind the rainbow flag was that each color represented a nation or a continent, right? So, but I get that now you have to even define it a little further. So, are we going to have, what categories of boxing are we having at this championship games?
So,
how are you categorizing the?
So at the moment we have announced our boxing program. So the International Boxing Association released 13 new weight divisions. We've selected 6 of those weight divisions. At the moment we've defined having a men's and a women's category. We're working with an organisation called Proud to Play, who are an LGBTQ sporting charity in Australia, and they're helping develop our trans and gender diverse policy. So it's important that we actually have community consultation and engagement. And then from that, and I talk about safe participation for everybody. This is psychological and physical safety. You know, boxing is a combat sport. And I'm really concerned at the moment with the focus on trans women in sport and banning trans women. But how about the safety of trans women? How about the safety of trans men and non-binary people? So at the moment, our policy is being developed for us. And once that's announced and released, we'll be providing further information. But our objective is to make this as safe and inclusive as possible for everybody.
And is it elite level or recreational?
No, this is amateur boxing.
Okay.
So we have 2 categories. We have novice, which are people who've done 0 to 9 bouts, and experienced who've done 10 plus more bouts. We're also putting it based on age categories. So youth is 17 to 18, elite, which is 19 to 40, and we have 3 master divisions, 41 to 50, 51 to 60, 61 to 70, across the 6 weight divisions. So our weight divisions are very much to be as broad as possible. So that way we're matching people based on age, weight category, and experience. Our rounds are 3 by 2 minute rounds. So we start from a place of inclusion. How can we have people participating, enjoying boxing in a safe way, but also a competitive way? Our boxing gloves, we're going to go with the 16-ounce gloves.
Wow, 16 ounce?
You know, it's because it's less of an impact. It's less of an impact. So really want to look at you there. I'm pleased I'm not in your...
Yeah, in masters, you would always use 16.
I know, I'm just being a butthole.
Yeah,
I need that old Dykes category, okay? Just give me it, I'm in there.
You could say that. We were joking in the week that, can you imagine a sports commentator using the word you just used, which I'm not going to use, but
I can say it.
We also want people to have we want people to have fun and enjoy themselves.
Right.
This is about, you know, just creating an environment where people can just box and be themselves.
Right. That sounds so much fun.
And that's similar to the idea behind the gay games in general, that the gay games are not a LGBTQ version of the Olympics. The Olympics are the elite athletes in all the different sports and have various qualifications. So the gay games are for recreational athletes. And so is this event also for recreational athletes. Even people like, you have a novice division, you even have people that are just starting out that don't even have like a big amateur record. And those are the kind of people that are encouraged to participate in this. Although I was just thinking about this in professional boxing, I think, as far as I know, there may be more, but there's only been in recent years one openly gay male boxer. And there are a number of women, but only one openly gay male of the thousands and thousands of boxers around the world. So that, you know, there's a lot that has to be done in the level of professional boxing.
I was looking at the website, Melissa, about, you know, the history of women's boxing, and to think that women were not allowed to compete in boxing at the Olympic Games since 2012. But when we look at the history of women's boxing and what LGBTQ plus women have achieved in such a, really the last few decades for, my lifetime.
Yep.
Think about Christy Martin, first woman to appear on the same fight card as Mike Tyson, represented by Don King, really legitimizing women's boxing, women's sport. Think how many openly LGBTQ plus female Olympic champions, Olympic boxers, world champions. So when we talk about an intersectional lens, what women have achieved for the community, it's just remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Nicola Adams, who has the gold medal, she's got, what is it, an OBE, I think, in Britain, or one of those honors. Openly gay woman. She's married to a woman. She's going to have a baby. Marlene Esparza is a bi athlete. In fact, they were an item. Marlene Esparza won bronze in 2012. So you're absolutely correct. But even within that community, and there are still tensions between in terms of the perception of femininity and versus a more masculine appearing women, and prejudices against more masculine appearing women. So there is still a lot of work to do, but I really appreciate that you are raising the fact that women have, as they have been pushing through their own, to have their own equity within the sport, they've also been championing gender equity, gender fluidity, and appearances and strengths of gay women in the sport.
Yeah, and it comes, that's why the amateur level is still so important in boxing, because if we just, even if you know a little bit about professional boxing, you look at so many of the top professional boxers were very successful amateurs, Olympians, and you could go list a whole bunch of them. And if it's unwelcome or people have to be closeted when they're on the amateur level, it's going to be reflected the same way on the professional level. And the one recent openly gay male boxer that I can remember, Orlando Cruz, he hasn't fought in a couple of years. He's 40 years old. His career might be done. He did fight for one of the world title belts. He lost that fight, but I don't know of any other ones currently openly competing at this point. There may be somebody that I'm not aware of, but nobody got as prominent as he did. But if you start to develop this on the amateur level and build this up, not just people that are, older in their 30s, 40s, and 50s and so forth, but if they start younger, then eventually, assuming, the amateur boxing we know has its own problems and crises, but if that continues, you will see it filter down in the next few years, as it should in professional boxing. And so on the other hand, events like these are important as ends in themselves, because most people that become amateurs don't go on to be famous professional boxers, champions, and so forth. And it will serve to have all sorts of benefits on their own just by doing this. And as you said, the gay games does not have boxing. And in fact, the gay games was interesting. Your event was supposed to be after the gay games, but then the gay games got postponed till the end of 2023. So your event is actually going to be before the next edition of the gay games, which is kind of an interesting, ironic development.
Yeah, the last few years in Australia, and I want to bust some myths here. We've had, the borders were shut for 2 years, and I remember watching some news reports that you have the army and the police walking down the streets. Obviously, there have been a few things, but we're not a police state. Australia is a very welcoming environment. We have our problems like any other nation on earth, but I've been so welcomed by the local community. In May, we're going to have a local event. We're going to have our official launch, and we're going to have a traditional Aboriginal welcome of country and a smoking ceremony. And the smoking ceremony is really about healing, and it's about healing wounds, but it's also welcoming people who are going to be coming to Sydney next year. I can imagine Chris in the corner coaching people to be the champion.
I'm ready.
And she's ready. And I'm going to be, hey, you better listen, because Chris is wanting you to win. So believe in yourself, be the champ. And everybody's welcome, but it really is, it's about it, just saying, Chris being the coach, we've all smiled and we're all laughing because we feel included. And for me, that's been my experience of boxing, is about feeling included. Right. I'd like to share, in March, beginning of March, was the Mardi parade in Sydney. To my left is Harry Garside, Australia's first Olympic medalist in boxing for 33 years. He's going down the professional route, and I think he's going to be a world champion boxer. So I have Australia's first Olympic medal winning boxer for 33 years. I also have Charlie Hall, who's the WBC anti-bullying ambassador, the title holder, holding up his WBC belt, and a group of amazing people just boxing, enjoying the spirit of boxing. But I can't imagine that happening, a few years ago, boxing, having Olympic boxer, having a future world boxing champion, having a WBC champion, an anti-bullying ambassador, who are awesome allies, saying, you know what, you're welcome in boxing. We're proud of you. We want you to enjoy this sport. For me, that's that grassroots amateur change. And that's where I said the real change happens, because 99% of professional athletes started in the amateur world. That's where most people, it's going to your local boxing club, it's joining the classes that you do, getting people active and having fun and enjoying the sport for what it is.
Absolutely.
And you've gotten, Martin, you've gotten support for your event from virtually every major boxing organization, both professional and amateur, including the 4 major sanctioning bodies in boxing.
It's been amazing, the level of support. I want to share a story of Boxing Australia. I approached them July, August in 2020. And literally within 2 weeks of me sending an email and having a Zoom conversation, the entire board voted to support the championships and issued a press release, and are helping us designing the program. Boxing New South Wales, which is the state-based organisation, the president is a good friend of mine. So in terms of trying to start an event like this, where do you start? You approach the amateur bodies, and I've had tremendous support. And I can't stress the importance of building relationships. And, the WBC, WBA, IBO, have just been outstanding. WBC, just amazing, appointing Charlie as our ambassador from the WBC. It's fantastic.
Will you be doing, there's going to be a giant championship fight in your part of the world when George Kambosos fights Devin Haney. Will you be having any outreach with those camps or with promoters to see if there are opportunities to promote your endeavors?
So I haven't reached out yet, but that's a great idea, because it's important that we actually get ambassadors within the sport as well.
Yeah.
For the
continue
community.
That out, especially since you're calling this the World Games, and to have that, there will be huge eyes on that particular event. And it also brings back the pinnacle of professional boxing into Australia, you know, with the performance that Kambosos had and his opportunity to grow his legacy as a fighter. So that should be interesting. One thing that I read that you stated about part of what stimulated you to do this, which is the notion that you said many gay people are reluctant to join boxing classes due to fear of being unwelcomed. Is that something that you experienced yourself, or how are you sensitive to that as an issue?
So it's not something I've experienced. Where I've been fortunate, where I train, I've been welcomed, but I do acknowledge that is an issue. Studies I've read that LGBTQ people participate in sport at half the rates. They're not fully representative in gyms and clubs. And my view is that most gyms probably aren't being exclusive, but may not understand about inclusion and creating an environment where we feel welcome. It could be, the rainbow flag is not maybe seen there. If you go to one gym chain in the city, they may have the rainbow flag, but if you go to a different location, is the rainbow flag there? It's about having that inclusion policy, but that whole culture. But I also believe as a community to be courageous and give something a try. If we always kind of feel from a place of fear, am I going to be welcomed or not? If you go in with that attitude of, I'm going to come here and try it myself and try and be who I am. And often you may be lifting weights, you're doing a cycle class or a boxing class, and over a period of time, you might start building friendships or meet the same people, and you can share who you are. And really, I talk about the camaraderie of sport. It's the people you meet, it's your sparring crew, it's the people who hold pads for you. They're the people. Last year, for preparing for my fight, I had 3 groups of people doing boxing is for everybody, happy Pride Month videos. And I mean, but only a few gay people in there holding the rainbow flag. So some of those were actually photos within the CNN article. So sometimes it takes us to be welcoming of people outside the LGBTQ plus community to come and join us too, to make that change.
One of the things
go ahead.
One of the things I wanted to say, just to piggyback on that, Martin, is I do want the gay community, because look at me. Okay, I am a masculine woman. I walked into Freddie Roach's wild card gym. I was one of a handful of women in there, and everybody was cool. Freddie's an asshole. He's homophobic. He's misogynistic, but I managed to navigate for 2 years around all that toxic masculinity, but I learned so much. So I want to say to the gay community, go in there, hold your head high, make yourself known, be proud, really be proud, and don't be afraid, because I mean, most people aren't going to say anything to you. And if they do, you're in there to learn how to fight. So, learn how to protect yourself at all times, right? All right, go ahead, Melissa. What do you got for Martin?
Oh, I was going to say that, in an analogous commentary, I, as a woman in my 40s, walked into Gleason's gym in 1996, and it was like, okay, I'm here. And I couldn't have been more welcomed.
Yeah,
and, that experience of crossing that divide was huge. I was anxious. I was like having night sweats. I mean, I was really, really worried. And it was for nothing. My anxiety was misplaced. And if there were ever any jerks, it's just because they were jerks anyway.
That's it, right. Regardless of what you are, right?
We all knew who not to hug. Because they were creeps anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Being a jerk.
I'm still in there, at 67, and it's the same jerk. Wow. So it's all right.
And comments a reflection on the person making them. It's very hard. I mean, I think it's so much harder with social media now, and I switch off and I don't spend as much time on some platforms as I do others. But those comments are a reflection on the person and the fear they have, because a keyboard warrior, would they hold pads? Would they have the courage to do a boxercise class or hit a bag? Probably not. So don't let anybody stop you achieving your dreams.
You got to get more on Twitter, because that's where a lot of good discussion is. There's all kinds of different things on boxing, on LGBTQ issues, the crossover between those. Because I know you're emphasizing more Instagram and Facebook, but I'd say you got a Twitter page too. So follow us all back. We'll follow you and follow us all back, and we'll retweet each other, and that's the way it'll build to that community.
Exactly. Another channel, social media channel. All right. So look, Martin, what else you want to cover? I heard there's a Jab 2023 challenge. Tell us about that, man.
Couple of things I want to cover. First of all, we've opened nominations for the championships. We currently have people from 12 countries have now selected their boxing category. So I want to encourage as many people as possible. I want to get as many women, trans, non-binary, intersex, queer, lesbian, gay, pansexual, the whole spectrum, and allies to nominate the boxing category. Go to wgbc.org.au and select. And we're a not-for-profit. We're auspiced by the Australian Sports Foundation, who are a charity, and our current fundraising campaign is called Jabs for Equality. So it's a 14-day shadow boxing challenge where you do 2,023 jabs over the 14 days and you raise funds for WGBC. You also have fun at the same time. So our hashtags are disruption, WGBC 2023, jabs for equality, and jab responsibly with the boxing emoji.
Don't shadow box yourself to death, kids. All right.
Right. In other words, keep it to 200 a day. You'll be fine.
It's about 200. It works out about 2 minutes a day, but it's a great way of getting people active.
Yeah.
Right.
Do two rounds and you're good. Yeah.
You've also posted a lot that you're starting to get people to sign up from all around the world to come to the event, which is being done. I'm not sure the exact dates and everything, but isn't it being done in coordination with the World Pride that's going on next year?
Yes. So from the 18th to the 22nd of February 2023, we've got a beautiful venue, and Sydney is host of. We have the Mardi Gras, which is always in February, March, and Sydney is hosting World Pride. So the championships are taking place while World Pride is taking place, which is the first time in Asia Pacific and the Southern Hemisphere. So please come. You're going to have so much fun. And
it's summer. Yes.
It's summer.
Let me renew my passport.
Yes.
Nice. Right on. That's exciting, Martin. I'm like totally stoked that you got this rolling. I would happy to, volunteer as one of your amateur coaches, but I want you to know now the commissions here usually try to kick me out because I curse too much. I jump up out my seats. I'm screaming at people. They are not happy. They're like, sit down before I kick you out. This is why I don't like coaching.
But yeah, I would really love to get more people now to start the nominating.
Yeah, so she'll just have a little sign around it that says trigger warning, trigger warning.
Exactly. I'm terrible at that stuff. Oh, shit. All right. So look, Martin, tell everybody where they can find you on your social media platforms, where they can register for the World Boxing Gay Championships and happening next year.
So go on to wgbc.org.au and we'll go further down and you see the link to nominate for your category for the championships, but also the Jabs for Equality Challenge. Our Instagram is WGB Champs. We're on Facebook, World Gay Boxing Championships, LinkedIn, World Gay Boxing Championships. My biggest platform is LinkedIn, so find me as Martin Stark. On my hashtag, my handle now on Instagram is Martin_StarkAU. So that's the best place to find us.
Right on, right on. All right. And look, folks, this is all we have for today for you. It has been a pleasure, Martin, to have you on our show. Melissa or Eddie, you have anything else you want to cover with Martin before we clock out today?
No, I just thank you again. This has just been kismet. We literally linked in together a week ago.
A week ago, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this with us, Martin.
Right. Tell everybody where they can find you, my sister.
Okay. At Girl Boxing Now on Instagram and Twitter. And my blog is, my website is girlboxing.org.
Right on. Eddie, the conscience of combat sports.
On social media, mainly on Twitter at NHB News. My Patreon page is patreon.com/Eddie Goldman. Subscribe to support independent journalism because you don't see too much of that or next to nothing of that, particularly in the combat sports. And the website is eddiegoldman.com. And those are the main places. And of course, here on the WAAR Room.
That's right. That's right, folks. And you guys can check us out at warsports.com. That's WAAR sports.com. You can look me up and follow me on Twitter at Angry Afro Radio. I'm on IG, where Martin found me, where I found him, at Fight Goddess Fitness. That is it, Fight Goddess Fitness. And look, we will see you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in. Peace, love, and push-ups.